This is Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
What's up, Pacer Nation? Welcome in to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and on today's show, we have a fun conversation. My man, Big Dave from CHGO Bulls, joins me to talk about all the trades that have been going down throughout this week in the NBA trade deadline coming up in just a couple of hours. But as we're recording this podcast, of course, a deal takes place, and it's Jonathan Kuminga finally out of Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, they're heading to the Atlanta Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. In addition to that, Trayce Jackson-Davis going to the Toronto Raptors for a 2026 second-round pick. That was the deal. Didn't really impact the conversation that me and Big Dave had, but wanted to address that this trade happened right in the middle and towards the end of our conversation, so we did not get to it. But yeah, the Indiana Pacers, there were some reports today that they're still scouring the market for a center, which is no surprise. But also, Bennedict Mathurin was linked to not just the Pelicans, but to the Chicago Bulls for the first time throughout the trade rumor circle. So I had to get Big Dave on to kind of talk with him about Bennedict Mathurin and what Chicago might think about him with their team. But also, Ayo Dosunmu was the name that was attached in Ben Mathurin conversation. So I wanted to get Big Dave's thoughts on Ayo Dosunmu and what he brings to the table as a player and whether or not a player like him would make sense on this Pacers team. So a really fun conversation. Talked about a ton of different trades. And at the end, my man Big Dave does a great Avery Johnson impersonation. So he gave us an Avery Johnson impersonation reaction to the blockbuster deal that went down on Tuesday between the Utah Jazz and Memphis Grizzlies. So really just some fun stuff on today's show, but want to go ahead and take a quick break and then come back with that conversation here with Big Dave. What's up, Pacer Nation? Welcome in to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and it's all about the NBA trade deadline coming up here in just a short amount of time. And here to discuss all of the trades we've seen and maybe look at the future of what today could look like, it's my man Big Dave from CHGO Bulls podcast. Love his coverage of the Chicago Bulls and honestly just, wrestling, all that stuff. He's got it covered for you. And you can follow him on Twitter at Bayo Sports. You got to say Avery Johnson is what Big Dave told me. So everybody do your best Avery Johnson impersonations. I know Big Dave's going to hit us with one before we get out of here. But the Chicago Bulls, my God, they're like the center of the trade deadline. Everyone thought it was going to be Giannis. It's kind of the Memphis Grizzlies a little bit, but Chicago's been pretty loud today.
Very loud today, man. In the past few days, just making all kinds of trades, stockpiling all kinds of draft picks, and a plethora of guards on the team right now for the Bulls. And it's still time for them to do something because I don't think they're done at all. I don't feel like they're done in any stretch. So I'm very interested to see what else they have up their sleeve leading into the deadline tomorrow.
All right. So the real question is, did the Chicago Bulls win the Isaac Okoro trade in the offseason?
Yes, without a doubt. Clearly they won. I mean, when you have to trade Lonzo Ball to Utah, and shout out to Lonzo as well. Like, I don't have anything bad to say about Lonzo Ball as a person, man. But he struggled, in Cleveland. It didn't click. And when the three-point shot isn't falling, then I don't know how much he can truly help you, especially dealing with the knee injuries that he dealt with. So, yeah, I would say they won that. I still look at the fact that they could have got a first-round pick and Marcus Smart out of this, but they went with Isaac Okoro. But okay, they chose a path, and it's not like Isaac Okoro has been terrible for the Bulls. He's been as advertised. The same kind of player that I had been watching is what I'm watching now with the Bulls. Sometimes good, sometimes bad three-point shooter. A guy who plays above what his skill set is, which is a compliment. Because his skill set tells you he shouldn't be doing some of the things that he's doing, but he'll do them out there. He's a really great at scoring during lulls in like the second and third quarter. And he's really great at scoring during those lulls and knowing when to score for the team. And we don't have to talk about the defense. We already know defense is going to be really good for him, but yeah, Lonzo going to Utah for 2 second-round picks. He'll probably get waived by Utah and become a free agent. I hope he ends up in Charlotte with his brother. I think that'll be cool. But they just got the other Jones brother. They got Tyus Jones. They signed him for a trade for 2 second-round picks. So we'll see if they keep Tyus or if they waive him or what they're gonna do. But yeah, man, it's an interesting time. But to answer your question, yeah, the Bulls. I would think it's safe to say the Bulls won that trade.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they did. I just thought in the offseason the narrative was, oh wow, the Cavs just fleeced Chicago, and
Yeah,
look, they let Ty
yeah,
Jerome go. They're going to be so much better with Lonzo, and now Lonzo's gone, and so is Darius Garland. A crazy James Harden trade that I don't think anybody
yeah,
had on their bingo card. And then they got one up
crazy.
today. Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards for 3 first-round picks. I know the picks, is it 3 or 2? Maybe it was just 2, but
I think it was 2 and 3 second rounders, if
that's
I'm not
right.
mistaken.
And the picks were not great. I will say that, but that was not on my bingo card either. Seeing Anthony Davis go from the Lakers to the Mavericks to the Wizards, man,
Yeah,
this
who
is a
had that?
weird trade. But at first, my instinct was like, I really don't understand what the Wizards are doing here. But when you kind of look at the draft capital they gave up, they didn't give up that much. They do get a veteran guy that can come in here and kind of help maybe shape the culture a little bit. They've needed to make that transition from being a young rebuilding team to a let's start to get a little bit serious and try to develop and maybe be somewhat of a play-in team, right? Kind of get back to that level. And I don't know what their roster is going to look like in the future, but they traded for Trae Young earlier in the season. Now they get Anthony Davis. You've
Right.
got Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, your lottery pick this year. So there's a lot of moving pieces here with the Wizards, but I think when you kind of sit back and look at it, it's not the worst move.
Yeah, and it's Bub Carrington, I believe, is still with him too as well. I actually thought it was solid. Is one of the first round picks from this draft coming up?
It's like it's from OKC, I think.
Okay, so they still have that. So this is why I thought it wasn't a terrible trade. One, you're getting Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Like on paper, that looks awesome. That's going to be fun. Obviously, both of them deal with health issues, so they're not going to be playing 82 games. We already know this. But what you are saying is, hey, we're going to be at least entertaining and formidable in the East for the next 2 years. I would say with those guys leading the charge, right? But within those 2 years, what you are also doing, because I don't expect to see Anthony Davis this season for Washington, what you're going to do is get another high draft pick for this season, combine that with Sarr, combine that with Johnson, combining that with Bub Carrington, and for the next 2 years, you can grow and develop your young core while you're having under the tutelage of a guy like Anthony Davis and Trae Young. Like those aren't two guys who aren't too bad to learn from, especially Anthony Davis and Sarr learning up under his tree. So I look at it that way. That they're setting this up kind of for the future more so than anything for right now, or we're just trying to go for it all and win right now. If they get great playoff coverage next year, like make it to a second round or something, I mean, that's a championship for them if they do something like that. No, like for real.
I know.
And
that's why it's funny because it is serious.
yeah, it's like that's what it is. But I think it's more so for the future because with those 2 years, you can grow and develop those guys. So by the time AD and Trae Young come up on that time where it's time to go and time to make some decisions, those guys have gotten better. At least that's the plan. Those guys have gotten better and developed and grown under those veterans.
I want to talk a little bit more about the Chicago Bulls and
Sure.
what moves they made, but before we jump into all the moves they made, there was a report today that's Pacers related from Jake Fisher and Mark Stein with the Steinline Report that the Pacers and the Bulls have had conversations about a Bennedict Mathurin for Ayo Dosunmu trade, and you never know when a deal gets reported like that if it's ever going to happen. Usually that means it probably was talked about but kind of fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be revisited before the deadline here, but just before we dive into specifics on what Mathurin brings to the Bulls and what Dosunmu would bring to the Pacers and what this deal would look like, I'm just curious, from someone that's watched Dosunmu, what is it about him that you like so much about his game, and kind of what's his situation here with Chicago that could make him available?
Man, look, I love Ayo Dosunmu. Like, I'm on record by saying that I never want him to ever leave. And this is me speaking from my heart and not my head right now.
Okay.
I never want him to ever go. I want him to be in Chicago, in a Chicago Bulls uniform for the rest of his career. And I know that's not logical. Like, if something comes up, you make the trade. I get that. But if I have my choice, I would rather him be here all the time. From the day he walked in, he was ready. for the NBA. The biggest thing I can tell you is Billy Donovan is not a fan of rookies like that. You make a mistake, you're sitting down. He's rarely playing them. That's not his thing. Billy Donovan's trying to win every game, so he's not looking at development of younger players too much. But that should tell you everything, that with that kind of mindset, Ayo Dosunmu played from day one of his NBA career. Day one. And I mean significant minutes. Day one. When he walked in, he was playing in the NBA and making an impact in the NBA. An impact that was so good his rookie season that when Lonzo had that knee issue, nobody batted an eye that Ayo Dosunmu was going to be the starting point guard going into the next season, because just of how he played his rookie. And we were like, oh yeah, we'll be straight with Ayo. Like, yeah, he'll be a great holdover for that. The other thing I love about him is he just continues to develop his game. Remember, he wasn't known as a great three-point shooter. He's ridiculous from the three-point line. He's one of the best shooters in the league right now. He is ridiculous from the three-point line. Like, he had a certain time during this stretch that he had a certain time where he was shooting like 55% from the field and 50% from three. Like, it was just dumb what he was actually doing from the three-point line. The main thing I like about him is every really good NBA player that I can think of has an unstoppable thing about them. And an unstoppable, like a Harden step back is unstoppable. Steph Curry's shot it's unstoppable. You know, LeBron doing anything, is unstoppable. Luka, with his mid-range kind of thing and step back, is unstoppable. Not saying he's these players at all. It's not what I'm saying. But he definitely has an unstoppable thing about his game, which is him getting to the bucket and him getting that layup. Like, I haven't seen a team be able to stop that yet. He just gets the ball and he's down the floor before everybody and he's to the bucket and he's laying it in over anybody. Doesn't matter who it is, it's going in. And the layup package is just gotten better and better and better over the years for him. And it's unstoppable. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen. I've watched it like countless times and you can set your watch to it. Like, oh, he's going up the sideline. Nope, there it is. The IQ is really great. The fact that, he's a combo guard really helps. Doesn't matter if he's starting or doesn't matter if he's coming off the bench. You can put it in pen that he's going to get 10 plus points. It doesn't matter. He knows when to do things, when not to do things. He knows when to pick guys up. He knows when certain guys need, to hear a little more toughness. He knows when guys need a little more tender-handed handling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he is just, for me, an all-around kind of just great player. I'm not even factoring in the things he does off the floor, which is great that he does in the community for Chicago. I'm not even factoring that in. But just the fact of what he does for the Bulls on the floor day in and day out, and the durability also that he can provide, I never want to get rid of that. Like, it is a great thing to have on your team, and it is a safety valve. You know what I mean? Like, I know people like to use a bicycle analogy. It's like having, training wheels. You know what I mean? On a bicycle, like, it is there. It is always there, and you're not going to fall, at least at that position, because Ayo Dosunmu is going to make everything all right.
So let's talk a little bit about what his situation is here with the Bulls, because he's an expiring contract, around $7 million, right? So not incredibly expensive. He's a good backup. And as much as it breaks your heart maybe to talk about this, how do you think he would fit in with how the Pacers play?
Oh, perfectly. There's not a team. I've said this a million times about him. He fits in on every team in the league.
Yeah.
Like, he fits in everywhere. Like, because he can do anything that you need him to do. So whatever you're missing in that backcourt that you need, Ayo Dosunmu can provide those things. So I need somebody that can get us some points out here. Okay, he'll do that. I need a spot up shooter. Okay, I'll do that. I need somebody to guard the best player on the team who's a guard. Okay, he'll do that. His defense has kind of fallen from what it was his rookie year, but it's still solid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it was really on another kind of level the first year or two, but it's still very solid. He's incredibly formidable there. And he's underrated tough. Like, you don't want to mess with him. Like you saw when Trey Jones tried to pat him on the back and he was ready to fight. You know what I mean? Like, he was at his throat.
He's a dog.
He is. And it's the quiet ones. It's always the quiet ones, right? He's not loud, he's not boisterous, but that confidence is there and it's on another level. And yeah, the way the Pacers play and, just the guard lineups that they use. And you guys, as you know, got some real killers at that guard position. Y'all got some dogs for sure. So adding him, I don't think you'll miss a beat adding a guy like Ayo Dosunmu. And I think your coach would absolutely love him, man. Like, he's a coach's dream, the way he plays. Like, he's coachable, he's approachable, he learns, he listens, and he puts it in his game. Like, he is really trying to get better. So for you get all this stuff for not a really ridiculous price on the contract, it's a great deal. So yeah, I think he could fit in very, very well with the Pacers.
What kind of contract would you expect him to be looking for in the offseason, knowing that he is an unrestricted free agent?
I would say, if I'm saying logically, maybe between 16, 18, something like that a year. I feel like I would tell him to start at 25 and then go from there. But, just start at the highest
Everybody
high,
wants
you know what I
25
mean?
million, don't they?
I'm just saying, start at the highest high. That's all I'm
Right.
saying. Then talk me down from there. You know what I mean? See who blinks and then go from there. But obviously, yeah, I think he would get at least around that, the 15, 16, 17, 18 kind of $1 million contract per year. I think is a fair deal for what you're getting for that young man and what he can do on the floor, bro. Like, again, you mentioned he's a bench player. He is. He comes off the bench, but he absolutely can be your starter. Without a doubt, he can do those things for you on your team, man. So, yeah, once you get him and you have him, you'll ask yourself how you ever, did what you did without him, because he's that kind of guy, on your team, man. And yeah, I love him, man. Like, he's one of my favorite Bulls to watch. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, 45% from three is pretty remarkable this
Ridiculous.
season on 4.3 attempts.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn impressive. And
Yeah.
and if you put him out there with the Pacers, who have an Aaron Nesmith, who's a great shooter, Obi Toppin, Tyrese Halliburton, like, that's a lot of floor spacing. So I can see why the Pacers definitely have had at least some level of interest in him to at least have a conversation here that was involving Bennedict Mathurin. So
Yeah.
Pacers fans were a little bit disappointed to see that Mathurin was in this trade rumor for Ayo Dosunmu, because I don't think people really know much about the Bulls that watch the Pacers.
Sure.
The Pacers have beat the Bulls in all 3 games this year, which is just
Yes,
ridiculous.
they have.
It's like
wild.
at one point, 25% of the wins the Pacers had this year were against the Bulls. So, I'm sitting here like the Pacers had 12 wins, and I'm like, they beat the Bulls 3 times. What are they doing? Like, how can Chicago not win these games? Like, yeah,
Dude.
Siakam doing like a double pump game-winning shot. You also had the crazy one where Vooch banked a 3 in to go up, and then Aaron Nesmith hit the reverse layup. So,
Dude.
it's just with
Jay
the Bulls
Huff.
and the Pacers, man. These games are ridiculous. But
They are.
from your perspective,
Uh-huh.
if the Bulls were to acquire somebody like a Bennedict Mathurin, how would you feel about that? Not just because I don't want you to get like caught up in the Ayo for Ben thing, because I know how you
Sure.
feel about Ayo, but just
Sure.
Ben as a player in general. What are your thoughts on Bennedict Mathurin?
Oh no, he's a dog. Like, he's absolutely a dog. And the more dogs I can have on my team, the better. It's how I've always looked at it. Like, Mathurin is a guy, and again, you could correct me if I'm wrong, because this is outside looking in talk that I'm seeing, but he looks like a dude who feels he's the best player all the time. He looks like he's the dude, like, I don't care who's on the floor. Steph who? I'm Mathurin. Give me the ball. Like, and I feel like what kind of led me to believe that was watching him, especially last year, and the game-winning shots, he wants the ball.
Yep.
Like, you can see it. Even when he didn't get it, he wants the basketball, like, all the time in the clutch, because he feels like he can do it. And we watched him do it. And we watched him win a couple of those games, especially in the playoffs. We saw him win a couple of those games for him. But I like guys with that kind of mentality who play above what their skill set says it is. And I feel like he is definitely that one of those kind of players on both ends of the floor. He's an agitator. You know what I mean? He'll get on your nerves. He's got that pest thing about him that I like. But if he's on your team, it just seems like you're gonna love that guy, because you like guys who play like that. At least I do. I like guys who play like that, who just want to win. And he definitely has that I want to win all the time kind of attitude about him. So when you have that on your team, it makes it easy to put him into the game in any situation. It doesn't matter what it is. Up by 30, down by 30, you'll feel comfortable having him in the ball game. So, yeah, looking at it like that, I don't think he's bad at all. I think he could definitely hoop. I understand why Pacer fans would be upset about losing someone like that and someone who was instrumental in helping getting you guys as far as you got last season, because he definitely was. But yeah, if you're gonna give him up for someone, like Ayo Dosunmu was a great person to give him up for sure. But just him in general, as you asked me, just him as a player, no, he can play, he can ball, and there's absolutely a spot for him on the Chicago Bulls to play, in my opinion.
Yeah, this season with a bigger role, he's averaging almost 18 points a game, and he's only 23 years old. His
Yeah,
defense has gotten better. I still
yeah,
think that if you watch him play, you'll be frustrated at times with just the plays that he can take off on defense and get a little bit
okay,
ball watchy. He's not great at
okay,
screen
okay.
navigation, which is a huge problem. To me, like, we've talked a lot on this podcast, and of course, when you're talking daily about a team, right? Fans are going to think, "Oh, you want this guy traded because he's been in trade rumors, and you're wishing for it." I wouldn't say I'm wishing for a trade. I think that I'm just understanding that a trade is likely to happen, whether it's now or in the offseason, because of number one, how much money he wants. You mentioned I would assume maybe want 25 million. There's speculation that Bennedict Mathurin probably wants around, 22 to 25 million dollars per year, which
Mhm.
might be a little bit out of the Pacers' price range. We know the Pacers have avoided the luxury tax at all cost for
That's the
like
Bulls.
25 plus years, right? So they're
Yep,
very strict with what they want to do. They
that's
have
the
they
Bulls.
have a goal in mind. I mean, they're not even Chicago, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm,
they're a smaller market. They've had a chance to have a finals team. They were talks that they would go into the luxury tax to go back to the finals, and then when Halliburton hurt himself in Game 7,
right.
it readjusted how they were going to approach the summer, which is why you see Miles Turner leave for the Bucks, and
Mhm,
might have been a little bit of a blessing in disguise for Indiana, but that's where it all comes down to is like the money agreement between Mathurin and the front office, and then of course the role. I think that does play a huge factor because you said it. Mathurin thinks he's the best player on the court. If Mathurin
mhm,
continues to come off the bench in his fourth, fifth, sixth season, when he probably feels like I'm better than Aaron Nesmith, these are my guys, but I think I'm better than them. It's
mhm,
gonna be hard for him to be like, I just can't grow. I've reached my ceiling with Indiana because I can't get out of this 6-man role that I'm in. With Chicago, with the trades they've made, there
mhm.
could be a window of an opportunity here for him to be a starter for this team. But in addition to all the moves the Bulls have made, they also acquired Jaden Ivey, who's in the same draft class as Ben Mathurin. Those two are kind of
Yeah,
rivals against one another. That they pretty much love going up against each other. Mathurin, I don't know if you remember this or not, but during the Rising Stars game in Indianapolis a couple years ago, Mathurin went up to Jaden Ivey and said, "You can't guard me."
ah,
And he just, like you said, he's got that dog in him, and he ended up
yeah,
winning the MVP of the Rising Stars game. So, like, that's just kind of who Mathurin is. You love the swag and things like that, but I don't know. I think that this deal, it doesn't seem like it's gonna come to fruition, but it was just I feel like the Pacers still are more focused on trying to find a long-term answer to their center spot with Miles Turner leaving than getting another guard and Ayo Dosunmu, but that also to me could, point the finger to maybe they could go after Dosunmu in free agency,
mhm,
maybe more mid-level tier than what you mentioned around 15, 16, a little bit less than that, but I
mhm.
I don't know. I just with all the Bulls moves, I mean, do you really see a fit for Mathurin with all the moves you made, and what kind of direction do you think Chicago's going to go into heading into Thursday with all these guards?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is the question. When we were talking off here, I told you, like, I'm just in the position where I was to start the season, which is confused.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just confused now, especially after the trade they made. It made more sense before the Kobe trade. I had a pretty solid idea of what they wanted to do, and then I had my conspiracy theory idea of what I thought they wanted to do, which was go for Giannis. That was my conspiracy theory idea. But once you trade Kobe White, that theory's out the window. So now the Bulls have like 7 or 8 guards, I believe 1 true center, and a rookie, a second round rookie from Australia, Old Brick, and then you got a plethora of second round picks. And our GM has shown, Arturis, he has shown that he does not truly value second round picks. Um, it's just not been a thing. If that was the case, then I promise you a lot of these trades would have been made in previous years.
Mhm.
But he didn't want to take second round picks. He wanted first round picks for everything. So since that was the case, it made me be like, okay, well, you obviously are keeping these because you want to make trades and you want to get these guys out of here. Then when the Kobe trade came up, I was right back to confusion. And I was like, okay, I really don't know what we're doing right now. I hope to have some more clarity by the time the trade deadline hits at 2 p.m. on Thursday. I hope to have more clarity about their direction and what they want to do. But if I had to guess it right now, it looks like they're hitting the reset button on the team. And remember, they have a game Thursday. So I'm also interested to see who's suiting up in this game, bro. Like they have a game on Thursday. So that's going to be interesting to sit and watch. But yeah, I'm very confused at this point in time about what direction they kind of want to go in. But if I had to guess, it feels like they're resetting, but it also feels like they're trying to package something to get something bigger in here. Because why would you keep all these guards? Why would you keep all these second round picks and then not do anything with them? But I had this same kind of feeling last year, Alex, when they made the trade when Zach LaVine to Sacramento, and we got Kevin Huerter, and we got Jones, and we got Collins. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is a move you make when you're about to, keep
Make those
moving
moves.
and, make some more moves. And they did absolutely nothing. They kept those guys. And I was just ridiculously confused. So I feel like I'm kind of right back there. And I don't think that they'll hold on to these guards. At least that's my hope. I'm 95% sure that they
Yeah.
will hold on to these guards. And all these second round picks. So I'm curious to see what their move is and what their decision is. But that's what it feels like. It feels like they've hit a reset button. They want to start over, but at the same time, they might make a big old move and try to go for somebody like a Zion or something like that, and try to get that kind of player here on the Bulls.
Yeah, there's definitely been rumblings all year long, it feels like, about Zion in Chicago, and
Yeah.
it does make some sense. What I've heard from a lot of Pelicans, podcasters and reporters is the value for Zion is so low right now, and
Mhm.
they're almost talking about having to attach draft capital to him because his contract's so big, like viewing him as a negative asset. So
Wow.
I don't really know what to expect from New Orleans. There's also another report that came out today saying they want to be a playoff team and they want to buy, and
I
it's like,
saw that.
that's a bunch
Right.
of crap. Okay. I mean, I think it was Matt Moore that put that out there. I'm not saying his report was crap. I'm just saying that information given to him is a bunch of crap. This team is
Okay.
a bottom dweller in the Western Conference with no first round draft pick this year. They're not trying to lose games and they can't win. So
Yeah. Okay.
they're
All right,
in their
I'm
own
with
way.
you
They're
there.
in the most difficult conference to be in. Like if they were in the East, maybe they'd have a better chance of being a play-in level team. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
if they're going to be, in my opinion, a team that eventually kind of does what the Grizzlies are doing right now. That's kind of stripping it down to the studs and just rebuilding around some different young players like a Derek Queen and Fears and things like that with who Joe Dumars, drafted. Like I think they're kind of rebuilding through Joe Dumars's, version of what the Pelicans should be versus what they were previously.
That's a
And
great
we'll
point.
see what they can get. I mean, I think they could get some serious draft compensation out of a
Mhm.
Herb Jones trade, a Trey Murphy III trade. Like those are not guys that are all-stars. Those are guys you should be trading to get draft pick, good compensation, and keep it moving because I think teams would be willing to pay it. I really do. So, but
Yeah.
Zion to the Bulls would be interesting. I'm curious to see what the Bulls do, but Giannis is obviously the biggest name going into Thursday. Will he or will he not be traded?
Mhm.
It seems like Minnesota's the most likely.
Mhm.
It also seems like Ja Morant could be heading to Miami if they can find a deal that makes sense for both sides. But
Yeah.
other than that, do you see any big names potentially getting moved?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have it I feel like all the big names I thought would get moved got moved.
Mm-hmm.
And then one who I didn't think would get moved because I wasn't thinking about him, like James Harden, got moved. Uh, Minnesota getting Giannis would be incredibly interesting. And we know that they are definitely going for him because that's part of the reason the Kobe White trade, at least from what I read, it's part of the reason the Kobe White trade didn't happen to Minnesota because Minnesota told the Bulls that we're in the Giannis sweepstakes, so we're trying to go for him right now. So we're not making this trade with you because Kobe was tied to Minnesota for a while.
Mhm.
Like we discussed it often on our show. Like we kept hearing that be the case. But when Giannis becomes available, obviously everything kind of goes out the window. So that's what their focus is on getting him on the team, and that would change the landscape of the West, I think, tremendously. My God, I just got the image in my head of Rudy Gobert, Giannis, and Anthony Edwards on the same team. That's insanity. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Because I think Randall would go. I think Randall would be in a package.
Him and
that
McDaniel
suits it
seem
out.
likely to go.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
Naz
feel like
Reid could be on the move, but
maybe.
I would keep Naz if I could.
Disgusting. Of course.
Just to make sure you have some versatility at that 5 spot, because I just can't imagine Giannis and Gobert on the court for long stretches of times, just because Giannis and a floor spacer and Rudy Gobert is going to clog the paint. So could there be a team that is interested in Rudy Gobert, as a third team deal? That to me would not be a surprise. One team that I kind of like, that it seems like they're striking out right now on the Sabonis deal, is the Toronto Raptors. And interesting to me, if Toronto could get involved, maybe get Gobert. I've actually thought about this long and hard, and I kind of like Miles Turner as a fit for the Toronto Raptors with what they're doing, just because they have so many wings that kind of need the ball in their hands, like Brandon Ingram, as well as Scotty Barnes. I never really liked the Sabonis fit. Just feel like he needs the ball in his hands too much, and
he does.
I don't think the floor spacing would be perfect for him in that situation, but I think adding a floor spacing big and Miles Turner around 4 wings, basically with what the Raptors like to do, that could be very beneficial. But if Rudy Gobert could potentially be on the move, I mean, they traded a lot to get him from Utah. I just kind of wonder, is there a team out there that makes sense for Gobert? And if you look at the Toronto Raptors, like Jakob Poeltl's their only center on the roster, and they just gave him a stupid extension, and he's got a back injury.
Yeah.
So could that be part of the Giannis tax, or could you trade him to Milwaukee in a 3-team deal, and then Milwaukee gets draft compensation from Toronto to get off of that deal? Just throwing some things out there, or maybe getting a young player attached, like a RJ Barrett or something like that. But it's just interesting. I don't know what you're thinking, but
say Sabonis, man, because you mentioned him. He's been tied to the Bulls for a while now as well.
Well, that's because it's the Bulls and the Kings. Can they not?
Correct.
Not be connected?
Always connected, and that's a countryman. That's AK's countryman right there. Is Sabonis. So it was always interesting because it feels like you just got rid of Vooch, and now you're bringing in Vooch, a better version of a younger version of Vooch. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and Bulls fans are not going to be pleased with that. And it's not to say Sabonis can't play. We know he can. He's an all-star, for goodness sakes. And you know better than most. You know what I'm saying? That the man is good. But it's just like, oh, man, and we just dealt with this for the past 6 years of another guy who can play one side of the floor. And now we got to deal with it for some more years. But I would not be surprised at all if that happened and that was the move that the Bulls made, because AK he wants a big name, man. He said that when he first got here. He likes a big name. It's how DeRozan got here. It's how Caruso got here. It's how Alonzo Ball got here. He likes these names like that, and guys that can do certain things, that he thinks can help this team. So I wouldn't be surprised, because they got enough to get a guy like Sabonis, and the Kings are definitely like everybody's for sale. You know what I'm saying, out here. So I wouldn't be shocked.
If the Bulls could get off Patrick Williams for Sabonis, I would love the deal.
Every day of my life. Listen, I would battle any Bulls fan. Any Bulls fan who is against that, come see me. All right? Come talk to your boy real quick, and let me regale you with tales of one of the worst players that I have seen come across in a Bulls jersey in quite a long time, in Patrick Lee Williams. Oh my God. Yes, I would throw a party, AG. I would throw a party. I would welcome Sabonis with open arms. I'll take him to whatever restaurant he want to go to. All that stuff, man. If you got that dude out here, that watch them play. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, get this dude out of here right now. All right? Give me whoever. I'll take whatever, man. Give him to me.
Oh, man, it would definitely help the Kings get a higher draft pick. That's for dang sure. The podcast I was listening to in terms of the Pelicans podcast was Locked On Pelicans, and they were throwing out trade ideas, and their trade idea before Vooch was traded about 2 weeks ago was Zion to the Bulls for Vooch and Patrick Williams, and I'm like, that's a terrible trade. for the Pelicans. Why?
I don't know what you mean, AG. That's a brilliant deal.
For the Bulls, it's great.
Brilliant deal. Brilliant deal. Like,
Yes.
let's get it going. Run that.
Run
my
that.
God. Take him now.
Oh,
Please.
man. So, as we wrap things up here, I think we've covered a lot of stuff here. I think, Chicago, they're going to be such a fascinating team to watch because they got so many
Yeah.
moving parts. And have any of these deals actually been finalized, or are there a lot still kind of sitting in the waiting?
Yeah, I know the Boost one definitely is still some things they needed to finalize. They said that yesterday. There were some things they were still finalizing. Obviously, the Kobe one just happened, so I don't think it's finalized at all.
We're going to see like
but
a 6-team deal, I feel like, at the end of the day. It's going to be a massive trade between all these teams.
Yeah. Honestly, and I know you feel this way too, like this is fun. Like
Yeah.
this is a very, very incredibly fun time for one of the most awesome times in any sport is the free agency period or the trade period for the NBA, man. Like it is so much fun at this point in time.
With the new aprons, free agency hasn't been as exciting as it used to be, right? Remember when the clock would hit like 12 o'clock and you'd see all these
Yeah.
deals coming through, and then they change it
Immediately.
to 6, and you're like, okay, all these deals are coming through now. You're like 6 o'clock, all right, deals are about to happen, and then you don't see anything for like an hour. And a lot of the
Right.
deals you're seeing in free agency are extensions, where
Mhm.
most of the moves are coming by the trades. And
Right.
that's why I think for a lot of people that, especially going back to Mathurin quickly, he's a
Mhm.
restricted free agent. Sure, you could trade him in the offseason, but you can't assume that his value is going to be higher in the offseason in a
Sure.
sign and trade
Sure.
versus right now. So
Mhm.
that's why I think something potentially could get done for the Pacers at the deadline, but I don't think they should trade him just to make a move. He's still a very valuable asset. It's not gotten to the point where like a Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State, he's not that level of disappointed, but I do think that if there's awkwardness there about his role and things like that, it could cause some friction in the locker room. The Pacers really don't want to deal with that, but I don't know. I just know that there's going to be more fireworks on Thursday where it always happens.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
probably going to be a random trade that happens out of nowhere. And, to me, it would not be surprising at all if it is Domantas Sabonis to the Bulls. That feels so
It
Kings
feels like it, right?
Bulls-esque.
Yes, it does, bro. It really feels like that. But if Patrick Williams is in it, yes. All day, AG. Yes.
Okay, so I guess the last thing I want to hear from you, because I wanted to get
Mhm.
an Avery Johnson impersonation from you to kind of wrap this up. So I'm trying to think how we close this out, because out of
Okay.
all the
All right.
deals that took place, which one makes the most sense for you to react to as Avery Johnson?
Okay. All right.
Let's see. I know you're probably going to be more animated if it is a Bulls trade, but I feel like we've talked about a lot of those. So one deal that we really haven't talked about that happened 2 days ago is obviously what the Utah Jazz did to get Jaren Jackson Jr. So I'm curious if you could maybe give me your best Avery Johnson impersonation of how the Jazz got better by getting Jaren Jackson Jr.
Well, look, clearly the Jazz got better at this. The Utah Jazz got better, all right, at basketball by getting a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J, as they call him. Triple J is what they call that young man. Listen, a great defender. He can score the basketball. He's going to be just a tremendous asset to the Utah Jazz. And playing with Lowry Markkanen, he's going to be a tremendous asset for that basketball team. I'm looking forward to watching the Utah Jazz play more basketball with those guys. And if Walker Kessler stays as well, watch out. Those guys got something going, guys. Watch out. They've got some really good players over there on the Utah Jazz. I'm excited to watch it.
Thank you, Avery. I love the analysis there, Avery. Really appreciate the appearance on Setting the Pace. Can't thank you enough for coming on, and maybe
Anytime.
Roy Hibbert's future son will be in the NBA, so we can hear you say Roy Hilbert again. Oh man, I will never forget the Roy Hilbert comments that we got from Avery Johnson when he was covering the NBA. But Big Dave, where can people find all of your great work at? Social media, what you guys have over at CHGO and things like that.
Oh man, social media, I'm at Bow Sports. Shout out Avery Johnson. BAWL Sports is where I'm at. On Instagram, I am Big Dave CHGO. Um, CHGO Bulls is what I do all the time. When there's a Bulls game, myself, Matt Peck, and Will the Goat Gottlieb, we got you covered. Pre-game and post-game. We do a show on off days as well. We do an hour-long pod on off days as well. During this week, we've done a ton of shows, and they've been awesome to do. On Thursday, we will be doing a trade deadline show. Starts at 1:30 p.m. And we will do that trade deadline show, and then the Bulls play a game. So we'll have a pregame for that, and then we'll have a postgame show for after that game as well. So plenty of shows that we got coming up, just covering the Bulls and the whole NBA trade deadline, man. So yeah, tune in on YouTube. We just crossed over 100,000 subscribers.
Wow.
On YouTube. So that was a pretty cool deal. Before the year ended, we did that. So that was pretty cool to do. So yeah, man, we're moving along, man. We got you covered on whatever team in Chicago that you want to follow, whatever sport you want to follow. We got you covered.
That is great stuff, and congratulations to you guys on that accomplishment. That is really impressive
you,
stuff right there. So keep up with the great work, and I know you guys got a lot to cover tomorrow, so I don't want to keep you much longer, or today for most people listening to this episode. But Thursday night, I'm curious to see if Jalen Smith is your starting center or point guard with all the players you're going to be having in and out of the roster. So just seeing what the Bulls put on the court might be the most interesting thing after the trade deadline. So Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and follow all of my work over at Pacers on SI, where I'll be covering all the latest news and rumors for the Pacers on a live article there that I'm going to keep updated. So follow the link in the description. And of course, I've thrown out a couple of different trade ideas that I like for the Pacers that I came up with on the trade machine. So let me know what you guys think as well. So we appreciate you all for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow to cover the trade deadline here on Set of the Pace. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.